I never had a piece of toast, particularly long and wide, but fell upon the sanded floor and always on the buttered side. James Payn, an English novelist, wrote this satirical verse in 1884, nearly 150 years ago. So that should give you an idea of how strong this grip of this issue of buttered toast falling buttered side down has upon the human imagination. For 150 years, people have been asking themselves, does toast really fall on the buttered side down? Or is this part of our negativity bias? Perhaps because we're conditioned to see the negative side, maybe toast really falls about 50-50, but we only notice the times that it falls buttered side down. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow club members, honored guests, I'm going to run through a brief history of the research that has been done on this issue of buttered toast, and then an explanation of the real answer, and I will conclude by offering 3 proposals to mitigate the pernicious effects of toast falling buttered side down. For many years, the issue of buttered toast fell in the realm of folklore. I mean, maybe the issue was even considered academic. Everyone assumed that the buttered toast fell buttered side down whenever you dropped it. Until the 1990s. In 1991, the BBC, in their documentary science series QED, devoted an episode to testing whether toast indeed falls buttered side down or buttered side up. They carried out a test in which 300 pieces of toast were flipped in the air, and they discovered the toast fell buttered side down 50% of the time. Woohoo, they said, we have debunked a myth. But not so fast. There was a fatal error in their methodology. When you flip toast in the air, it's no different from flipping a coin. It's going to end up heads or tails 50% of the time. And this is not a real life situation, since most of us, when we've passed our toddler years, are not inclined to toss our food in the air. On the contrary, dropping toast is likely to happen either when you're half asleep and it falls out of your hands. I'm not going to drop this because I don't want to waste all my toast. Or in a bleary state, semi-comatose before our morning coffee, we just brush it off the table. We do not toss it in the air. So it does not have the time to do all these rotations. So as for that first attempt in 1991, good try, but no cigar. However, it did get one person thinking about it. Robert Matthews, the doyen of buttered toast research. Robert Matthews was science correspondent for The Telegraph, a UK newspaper, and he thought about this issue quite a lot and did some calculations, and he actually published a paper called Tumbling Toast, Murphy's Law and the Fundamental Constants in the European Journal of Physics, volume 16, number 4. This is in 1995, and this created quite an uproar. People started writing letters and offering all these explanations of why toast should fall buttered side up or down, or why it doesn't even matter. I will quote to you, since I didn't have access to the article, I'm quoting from an interview of his conclusions. Detailed calculations of the dynamics of tumbling toast confirmed my suspicions and revealed something else, that the presence of butter was more or less irrelevant. Neither its weight nor aerodynamic properties had much effect on how toast landed. The crucial factor is purely height, and toast sliding off a plate spins so slowly that only if it falls from heights above 8 feet does it have much hope of regularly landing butter up. I will just add, this is the height of a standard dining table. A standard dining table, you probably never thought about this, is 30 inches high, or 76 centimeters. So that's quite a difference from 8 feet, which is 2.4 meters. In 2001, Robert Matthews had the opportunity to test this theory. Lurpak, the European butter manufacturer, sponsored the tumbling toast test, the greatest toast test that was ever carried out. Over 1,000 school children were enlisted to perform this experiment, pushing toast off a plate 20 times in one day, which ended up in 21,000 toast drops. This is a very large amount of raw data. Not only that, Robert Matthews devised 3 experiments. The first was the children were expected simply to push buttered toast off a plate. the plain vanilla buttered toast experiment, as it were. The second experiment, which is actually brilliant, was to write the letter B on the toast instead of butter. You can probably guess why, to see whether butter really did have any effect on the buttered toast falling buttered side down. The third experiment, which she allowed only the secondary school students to do, presumably because of safety reasons, was to drop the buttered toast from surfaces 8 feet off the floor. And here are the results. Whether the toast was buttered or marked with the letter B, it fell butter side down 62% of the time. When it was dropped from a height over 8 feet, it fell butter side down 47% of the time. Seems that Robert Matthews was right. It's the height that matters. And now at this point, I'm going to give a practical demo and show you why. Butter side up, okay? No B on the back. When buttered toast drops, and I'll do this in slow motion, it generally falls out of the hand at an angle, or it falls off the table at an angle. We don't normally just launch it off the table like a hockey puck. And it starts to rotate. However, it's rotating slowly because it doesn't have a lot of force applied, just basically gravity and a gentle push. And it's hitting a floor only 30 inches below. There's not enough distance for the toast to turn 360 degrees. It has to turn more than 180 degrees to land butter side up. And that's simply not far enough. Of course, if it falls crust down, then it can bounce in funny ways, and that accounts for a lot of the discrepancy where the toast lands butter side up. I'll try to demonstrate this for you. Butter side down. Good thing I brought extras. That's the way the butter crumbles. Toast number 2. Butter side down, and the toast broke. I think I've demonstrated that is why the toast falls butter side down. And now I will just conclude with 3 pieces of advice or proposals to mitigate this situation if you are seriously disturbed by toast falling butter side down. The first proposal is to eat off a breakfast table that is 8 feet off the floor. The second proposal is to butter the underside of your toast. And the third proposal is simply to accept the fact that the forces of the universe are arrayed against us, and the only reasonable recourse is to have breakfast in bed. Thank you.